Right, this is the Edmead's immigration story. This is a video of me interviewing my grandfather about how my great great grandfather immigrated over to the U.S. This is a video of me interviewing my grandfather about my great great grandfather on how he migrated, why he migrated, and the challenges he encountered coming to the U.S. Why did the Edmeads come to the U.S.? Well, first I'm gonna start off. My great great grandfather came from St. Kitts, and at the time, St. Kitts was a very poor country at the time, and their reason for wanting to come over was because they wanted a better lifestyle for their future generations that were to come. Another reason they wanted to come over was because their work ethic. The work ethic was so unrivaled compared to other people, was that like coming in the U.S. was almost guaranteed success. Like if like even if they got multiple jobs, like they were gonna have like rise to the ranks of those jobs, earn big bank, and they just knew it was gonna success. So it was almost guaranteed they had to go. Okay, going on to the next slide. How did the Edmeads come to the U.S.? Well, first I want to talk about like why, like how all the entire family of the Edmeads came to the U.S. If you wanted to leave St. Kitts, the oldest would have to leave first to get settled over into the new country, so they'll be able to take care of all the younger siblings as they're coming over as well. The oldest to leave was John Keary Edmead. He came over to the U.S., got settled in as Monty Edmead, Mary Edmead, and Ellen Edmead were trying to come over to the U.S., and John Keary Edmead basically took care of all of them all of their life. They all came in through boat. John Keary Edmead and Monty Edmead came in through Ellis Island straight to New York. Mary Edmead and Ellen Edmead attempted to enter through Canada, and I say attempted because Ellen Edmead wasn't able to enter into the U.S. And I'll get into that in the next slide. On to the next slide. What challenges did the Edmeads encounter coming to the U.S.? Well, there wasn't really any challenges other than like the long journey, but one challenge, the biggest challenge in my opinion, was once they left St. Kitts, they were never going to see their parents again. As soon as they left, that's it. It's over with. And John Keary Edmead left when he was 19, so that was a really tough decision at such a young age. The one other big problem they had was Ellen Edmead, like I said before, because she wasn't able to enter into the U.S. because she had a child and was unmarried, and at that time period, that was like really uncommon. They didn't let her in. She ended up having to go to Bermuda and live there. Okay, on to the next slide. Okay, this is a timeline of of what I already just talked about. 1910s to 1920s was the time range of John Keary Edmead making his decision to go to the U.S. and leave his parents for good. The 1920s to 1930s range was when the beginning of all of his younger siblings coming into the U.S. along with him. And 1920s, 1930s was the eldest sister, Ellen Edmead, not being able to enter into the U.S. So that was a tough time for everybody. Again, she had a child, unmarried, and that was super uncommon at that time, so she wasn't able to enter. The 1940s, the 1950s range, the eldest, John Keary Edmead, took care of all of his younger siblings successfully, like really successfully. He got there first, put all of his younger siblings through school. He put Monty Edmead, the younger brother, through med school, and Monty became one of the first black doctors in New York. In the 1950s range to 1960s, John Keary Edmead had a kid, Rodney Edmead, and he bought Rodney Edmead a 4-story house. Doing this project was super fun for me because I like learning about my family's history personally, and interviewing my grandfather. He was super cooperative. He had a lot of information. He was willing to do a lot. He actually got the whole family involved to help me with this project. I think one of the days when I asked him to send me one picture, he had the whole family send like 26 pictures. It was funny. It was hilarious. And it was just a really fun experience learning about my family's history like that. And yeah. This is the enemies and immigration story.